right, but we're live now. So, all right, team, we're here with Miss Jordana, and we are doing our weekly member spotlight. So today, Jordana is in the hot seat. So we are going to chat with Jordana, and I have, before we get into who you are, Jordana, I have a whole bunch of rapid fire questions for you. So very first question, these are all like icebreaker questions. I Googled icebreaker questions and found some fun stuff. So my first one is, if you could go to dinner with anyone alive or dead in the world, alive or dead, who would you love to go to dinner with and why?
Richard Branson. First, I would fly in a private jet. We'd go to his, his island, and he's rich as hell. So we'd probably have a great dinner. And he's also like just a badass in business. And I just feel like he's like young at heart. He would just be fun to converse with. Yeah, Richard Branson for sure.
There'd be a lot of cool things that you can learn from someone like that. That's for sure. Right. He'd be top of the list for sure. Okay. Who are the other two?
Other two? There's three?
Yeah, three people.
Oh, okay. Well, Oprah Winfrey, I just feel like she is the master questioner. I would just love to learn how she questions people and just be able to experience that.
Yeah.
And alive or dead, I'm going to go with my grandpa. He passed away when I was in grade 8 and I just didn't have enough time with him. So my grandpa. Good
choice. And we were just talking before we started recording, but I'd have to go with Oprah Winfrey too, I guess, because I literally Googled like icebreaker questions and things I want to chat about. So I have to learn my interview techniques as well. So I can make these a little bit better all the time. So that'll be fun. And then, last question is what's a current book that you're reading, or one of your most recent books? I see a few in the background there. It looks like maybe Lord of the Rings or something's up on top there. I'm not sure what those are. Looks like
those are all Lonely Planet books. I used to travel before pandemic. Right now I'm reading Dan Brown Origin. It's like the Robert Langdon series. I think it's like book 5 or 6. Amazing. He's like one of my top favorite authors. And then for nonfiction, I was reading Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Like very, very empowering book.
Cool.
Not something I would normally read, but yeah, it was good.
What's it about? I don't know.
So it's about this woman. It's her life kind of coming into the fact that she is bisexual or, exploring that. And it's just like coming to terms with how a female is, molded by society's expectations, I suppose, and kind of breaking that mold and coming into her own. Yeah, it's just very, very interesting.
Cool. Very good. Very good. Okay. So next up I got to get to is a little bit more about the gym and synergy and your experience with the gym. So I want to know how you found us. I think I know parts of the story, but give us the story about how you found us and how you got introduced to Synergy.
Yeah. So I know Brittany Bucher from when I was in high school. I worked at North Shore Outfitters with her at Center Mall. We were mall rats together. Yep. And I had been going to her for massage for a number of years. And we had a massage by her in Revelstoke just this past summer. And we were talking about, I wanted to get back into fitness and, I have a previous background in gymnastics. So like I wanted something that kind of mirrored that ability, but just, was a competitive experience and had a community. And she's like, you should call Chad. So called Chad. I think I was on the ferry from Victoria to Vancouver. And I was like, just, I needed to do something. I was like, hey, just call Chad, call this guy. She said to call him. So I called you. And I was like, hey, I want to join. I'm so intimidated. I was like, I am like out of touch with fitness for the last 10 years. I was like, I'm intimidated as hell. And how can I get into this? And then you talked about the prep course and I joined July 22nd, I think was like my first day at Synergy, 2020, mid-pandemic.
Yeah. And was as intimidating as you thought once you got there?
No, it was awesome. I think like that's like one of the reasons why I like Synergy is because it's so, community focused and everyone kind of comes in and you start where you're at. So it's not like you go in there and, you're given something by one of the programs that you can't do and you feel like a failure. It meets you where you're at and it challenges you at that level. So I like the scaling ability.
Cool. And then if we were to talk specifically about the prep course, how did the prep course go and what do you think it was something of value for you when you first started?
Oh, totally. Like I have no background in Olympic lifting at all. I have my gymnastics background, right? So I have no experience in weights, no nothing. And that was a lot of the prep course was just learning those movements. And so because of that, I was able to kind of transition into some of that. And not only that, you have the prep course, but you have that that CrossFit weightlifting class. I think it's multiple times a week that you can go to. So as someone that doesn't have that background, those are key classes to go to try and build up those skill sets in areas that you have no background in.
Yeah, very cool. Cool. And then, you know what? I'm sucking at my interview. I totally messed up my whole process already. I was supposed to ask you who you are and what your background is, and I already got into this interview. Oh my gosh, failure. All right, well, let's back up then. Tell us your life history in like under 3 or 4 minutes, Jordana. So like, and focus more on just like who you are, not the sporting background. We'll talk about sport in a separate portion, but just like what you're doing, where you grew up, what you're currently doing, business stuff, whatever.
Okay.
Whatever you want to share.
Jordana Knoblauch. I'm born and raised in Saskatoon here. I moved away for a couple of years. So I've lived in Fiji, Mexico, New Zealand. New Zealand was my longest stint. Avid traveler, hence all the Lonely Planet books. Yeah, I think, you know, coming back to Saskatoon was really interesting as an adult. I came back from university. I did business, graduated from Edward School of Business there with finance and marketing. And after that, I kind of swung into the tech realm. So I worked at Vendasta. I did my own digital marketing business for a couple of years. And now I work for a company in the States called Breakthrough. And we do private practice physical therapy consulting. Just how do you build a better business as a private practice healthcare provider. So that's my current job. And then on the side, I do take on one-on-one clients, just helping them learn how to do business. If they don't have a business background, helping them, you know, learn the sales side of things, strategy side of things, projections, BHAG setting, goal setting. I walk people through that in 3-month stints.
BHAGs, so exciting, right? Most people have no idea what that means, but a big, hairy, audacious goal, right?
That's true.
That's exciting.
So
what's that?
Jim Collins, Good to Great book.
Is it okay? I actually read it out of the Harvard School of Business review. I think he wrote a document on. That's where I originally got it from. I was introduced to it from my original business partner, which I'm not sure if most people know this or not, but Ian McDonald, one of my best friends and original business partner, introduced me to his work. So that was kind of cool. And then who's your ideal client? Like, who are you working with right now on your personal stuff? So obviously in your other stuff, you're working with physios across North America, but you got your personal business going on. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think holistic nutritionist, basically it comes down to the mindset of the business owner. So I like working with people that strive for big impact. So not necessarily someone that works with a lot of one-to-one clients. I want to take their one-to-one client business and grow it into a one-to-many business. That's where I really strive and really feel passionate about.
So you're doing B2B, or is that what you meant? Like, you're doing business to business stuff, like you're trying to grow them there, or is there a specific kind of avenue in that, like to consumer or to the business?
So if my client has a one-to-one model, so say, for example, you're a holistic nutritionist and you take on one-to-one clients, similar to Brittany Buchert's, business. She's a one-to-one, for her nutrition side of things, but I would want to facilitate, how do you turn that business into a one-to-many or a group coaching program, so that she can maximize her impact, but also, really scale her business, because then it's not as reliant on her time. So I like switching people into that model as a one-to-many, both for impact and sustainability of a business.
And there's no like any kind of a direct line of like this style of business or that, just like any business that really works in that.
It pretty much has to be like a good fit. Like, I'll usually jump on a call with someone and just get to know them a little bit. Like, what are their BHAGs? Like, what kind of goals are they working with? And if I feel like there's a fit, there's a fit. I have someone that sells knives. They sell Japanese, like, specialty knives, all the way to someone that is a mental fitness coach. So it's pretty broad.
Cool. We're going to have to chat, Mrs. Jordana. As you know, I'm doing similar things right now.
I know you are. I'm excited for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And then tell us about your sporting background from youth to now.
Yeah. So I always thought I was going to be a team sport person. My whole family comes from team sports. I got pretty discouraged at the age of 6. So went from team sports to individualized sports. So I did a lot of like gymnastics, speed skating, anything like that. It's your problem if you don't succeed. I'm just a very competitive person. So team sports was hard for me because, I like just kind of having the onus on myself. So I was in gymnastics at Marion Gymnastics here for 14 years, maybe 15. And then I progressed into coaching. So I started coaching at, age 12, age 13. I coached anywhere from parent and taught all the way to 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, kind of was like my best age group is probably 10. The girls just idolize you, and they're just so like, they're like, oh my gosh, I just want to learn everything from you, which is great. As soon as they kind of hit that 12 range, they get a little bit sassy. So 9, 10 is my sweet spot. Or
mine actually is a couple years past that, because I find like the younger kids, I used to enjoy that, but now it's just like herding cats, and it kind of like, I don't have the attention span anymore for it, or like the patience. And then as soon as you get past the 12, I find it's like there's a lot more dedication. Well, actually differently, but maybe it's just the sport being weightlifting, but because that's my sport primarily. But I find like the dedication, the focus that is improved so much more, that now we can actually talk about all the things you have to do as an athlete to improve, right? That becomes the,
yeah, that's true.
Right.
It turns more from like something that your parents told you to do to something that you want to be in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. A little more self-drive. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
But
yeah. you coached and did gymnastics. Do any other sports when you were growing up, or was that your primary?
No, that was a big time suck for me. Like I was at the gym 4 or 5 times a week, I think. And then when I turned 18 or 17, at 17, I took afternoons off in high school and I went and worked, and I worked 3 jobs. I worked at Moxie's Classic Grill, North Shore Outfitters, and then I was coaching gymnastics. So from 17 to 20, 17 to 19, I was doing all 3 jobs, and I raised enough money or earned enough money to go to New Zealand. And that's where I was for 2 years.
Yeah, cool. So what did you do when you traveled? Because you had a whole list of places you had in there. What did you do when you traveled? So from 17 to 18, you moved on.
So
How long were you gone for?
I was gone from 19 to 21, came back right before my 21st birthday. Okay. Yeah. So a couple of years. Yeah. I was working for Quicksilver in New Zealand, which was awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for a couple of years. That was a lot of fun.
What were you doing? What were you doing with them?
I was just working at the store, and then I was working up to it's called a 3IC, or third in charge. But I was the youngest on the team by far. Like they called me Little Jordy. That was my name. They're like, Little Jordy. But I was the youngest by 4 or 5 years, because everyone there was just travelers, and no one really at 19 was traveling back then, because there was no Instagram. There was no really Facebook. Like I had to Skype my mom. Like there's no FaceTime. Like I barely had a cell phone. I had like one of those flip phones, like there was none of that shit. So I feel like back then traveling just wasn't as commonplace. And so it was just harder. So when you're young like that, a lot of people waited till after university to go and travel. Whereas I was like, nah, I'm going to go and do that before university.
And I think that's the way to go. I mean, I always think about that now that I have kids. I mean, they're young, but I always wonder, like, well, what should they be doing after school? And I think they should take some time and go travel, go do stuff, learn who they are, figure out what's going on. Because I think so many of us take those choices. We go to school and they're like, well, I always think I was lucky. I fell into something I actually really do enjoy, but I know a lot of people that didn't. They went to school because they were either told to, or they, had to pick something at the age of, I was 17, pick what you want to do for the rest of your life. It's like, I don't know what I want to do tomorrow or the weekend, right? Let alone the rest of my life. Cool. That's a good choice.
The reason why I went to Edwards is because of Quicksilver. So what I really liked about Quicksilver is we had 2 different floors, and depending like the merchandising, I was like the merchandiser. So depending on what floor I put an item, it sold way faster. I could have an item on the bottom floor for 4 weeks, didn't sell anything. Had it on the top floor, it would sell in like 2 days. Like it's crazy. So I got really into consumer psychology, and just like the psychology of sales. And that's what drove me into business and doing finance and marketing.
Yeah, fun. Very cool. Very cool. And now getting back to kind of your synergy experience. So we talked about the prep course. We talked about you transitioning into the gym and how you found us. Overall, if I can ask, just like, how has the experience been? What are the highlights of the experience at Synergy?
I mean, a roller coaster. So I think at first, you get really excited. Sorry?
What does that mean?
So I think like I was talking to Simon about this the other day, actually, because, my partner, Simon, comes to the gym on and off. But the hardest part is coming, as someone that was super physically active during high school, elementary school, to going to nothing. Like I basically did nothing for 8 years. And that was hard for me to kind of come to terms with. Coming back to the gym and knowing that you were previously like a pretty strong individual, and then coming back to the gym and then just being humbled by where you're at, and then seeing everyone that's like 5 years in, 6 years in, and trying not to compare, but it's that mind game of just being able to keep showing up, even though you feel like you're failing. You're not failing, because by showing up, you're not failing. So that's the mental roller coaster that is kind of happening, is just, you're always up against your own mind of, like, when is it going to get better? So, the first 3 months, if I'm just being completely honest, like, it was a little bit of a challenge because you're learning all these new things. And as an adult, you don't have that patience to like do the work to like learn it as much as you did when you were a kid, the 10,000 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
You want quick gratification, right? So if you don't get something after 2, 3, 4 classes, you're like, you're frustrated really easily. So I was going through that, but now 3 months in, you start to see the body, shift. You start to see, there's a muscle I haven't seen before, or like, hey, there's a skill set. I remember when I first started, I could not do a push-up. Like, I was like knees push-up, like that was my push-up.
I
And
remember
I struggled with that.
Yeah.
Or even burpees. Like a burpee, if I was winded after 10 burpees. Now it's like, oh, we'll do 100 burpees in a workout, and it's like not that bad. Or I had a workout where I did 46 regular push-ups, and it just like, it floors me. And that was only 6 months in, right? So I don't know how many months we're in now. I think it's like 9, 10 or something like that. But yeah, the progress has been awesome. But it's always, you learn something new, you get frustrated, then you got to decide, okay, am I just going to keep pushing through until it gets better? And so that's that roller coaster that you go through, but it's mental fitness as much as it is physical fitness.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you then on that front, because I think that's really unique or interesting that you brought that up. So did you have any strategies or anything that you use to deal with that? Because this happens all the time, right? I mean, like, it's not just you. All members go through this. They come in, they have a certain expectation, and you brought it up, and I always feel it's always hard to say, but it's like those young kids in the platforms over there, weightlifting, they're just driven. They just kind of day to day, they do their stuff. They're very, very eager to keep training, learning. As an adult, you have very short attention span, very short ability to think long term. You just want everything now. It's all just immediate. Maybe that's part of the world we live in, politics, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But we have all these, these preconceived notions of where we should, well, I shouldn't say where we should be, but where we want to be, right? And especially with a sporting background where you know what you once were able to do. So I don't know if you can speak to it or if you had any strategies, but how did you overcome that? Is that a different question?
I have specific strategies.
Okay, let's go.
Specific strategies. So my strategies were: 1, connect with as many people as I can at the gym to have that accountability, to feel connected, to have that community where it's like, okay, if I went to the gym, I'm not just in my corner, not talking to anyone. So if I didn't show up for a session, no one was going to call me out on it. No one was going to follow up with me. That's one pro of the prep course, right? All the girls that are in my prep course, pretty much, 4 out of the 5, I'm still very good friends with. We have, a Snapchat group. I think it's called the Brunch Club, because we once were going to go to brunch and then it never happened, but we just have the Brunch Club. So we all, keep each other accountable. So creating accountability in a community, like, don't just show up and don't talk to anyone. Like, that is something that's different about Synergy. It's not like Motion Fitness. It's not like somewhere else where you go in, you do your crap, and then you leave. Like, that is a big part of what makes Synergy is the community. So build the community. 2, don't look at the workouts before you show up. Do not go into Sugar WOD and psych yourself out of like, oh, I'm not good at thrusters, or, oh, I'm not good at snatches, so I'm just gonna, chicken out today. I come, and because I have that community, what am I going to do? I'm going to walk into the gym, see the workout. It's super hard. And then like turn around and leave. No, because Sydney would call me out on that. So that's strategy number 2. Strategy number 3 is, I know morning workouts are my jam. So like, I love kind of mixing it up sometimes, but like 7 a.m., you have to find a time that works best for you. And it's not that it's easy, right? Like, getting up in the morning is not easy, but I know that by the end of the workday, I'm mentally shot. And like, I could make up so many more excuses for not going. Oh, I got to prep supper. Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do errands, blah, blah, blah. 7 a.m., what else are you going to do? 6 a.m., like, what else are you going to do at that time of day? Not really much. So you have nothing else that's going to stand in your way or make excuse for you not to go. The only excuse is that it's yourself. It's a mental game at that point. So committing to a time that you know that you can't make excuses for, and just stay consistent. And that was my strategy.
Nice. Well done. Very good.
Thanks.
We should be hearing this, man. This is, everyone runs into this at some point. That's awesome. Well done. You nailed on 2 of the pillars of our gym: community and work, right? Time, energy, all that kind of stuff. Schedule's a little bit different, but that's very cool. Excellent. And then Next question after you do that be like, maybe you may have already kind of answered this, or somebody you'd be like, well, actually go moving forward. What are your main goals right now? What are your main goals, personal and professional? So let's use professional first, and then what are your main goals? What are you working on?
I mean, professional, I'm a pretty,
come on, you have this stuff written down somewhere and I know it.
I know. Well, so what I was talking about with my boss the other day, and this is not necessarily with my business, but just professionally, I like to have a better flow of a professional conversation. And by that, I just mean I'm a very casual individual. The way I speak to clients can be very casual. And I would just like to like raise the bar a little bit and just be a little bit more professional, speak to that level. So that's like my professional goal is just be mindful of my talk track. Which sounds like very vague, but it kind of is. And then
I'm not sure I fully understand that though, because like one of the things I always learned in sales training and that I've ever done is always like, so much of it is just conversational. You just have to be yourself, conversational. But maybe I'm missing what you mean by like raising the bar to like a professional level. Like casual conversation is actually one of the most important things from a sales perspective and connecting with individuals, even on Zoom or wherever it might be. But I missed what you said or what you meant.
Yeah. So that's where I excel, right? Is the rapport building and the trust building with people. It's the being able to speak to high level metrics or really drive, this is where we're at and help bigger organizations establish those goals and then also establish processes that they can put in place to reach those goals. And sometimes that's just a higher level conversation.
The technical stuff.
A lot more technical. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm bad at it. It's just, I always want to improve. And then with my business, I think just having more of a dialed methodology of, what are the 7 steps I take people through. It can be a little bit varied right now, just depending on the background, but I'd like to, one day have some kind of methodology that is like, no, this is step 1, this is step 2, step 3, step 4. Right now I'm kind of finding my groove, but that would be my next step. My biggest business goal is to have a network of communities in Central and South America that is a co-living situation, but it is a membership or a subscription model for digital nomads. And they can like book in advance where they want to go by like a month or 2 or whatever it is. So say, for example, you're in Mexico City, 2 months, I want to go live in Colombia for 2 months. You book that kind of similar to an Airbnb model, but we would facilitate all of the moving. You can go and pick out all of your cutlery and everything beforehand. So basically you just show up in Colombia, your apartment's already set up, has all your shit for you already. And you might be able to connect with people that you've been in other co-living situations with in all these other areas we have the network in. So that's a very long-term goal, but
that's cool because in today's world, man, actually it's interesting because I don't know if this really would apply to me, but like Claire and I always talk about this all the time. It's like at some point in life, I'd love to be able to like work wherever I wanted, all around the world, like just I'll do different things, right? Because if you're doing consulting or you're working with people in business or online, like much of what you do is, you can do that from wherever you want, right? That's really cool.
Yeah, Simon and I did a month and a half ish in the UK and Ireland, the September before COVID, and we were planning on doing 3 months in Colombia, but pandemic.
Yeah. Kind of stopped everyone on that, most goals. Yeah, interesting. But at the same time, it would be kind of a cool idea to be able to have it already set up, because when you get there, you don't want to be like constantly just moving and having to do all the transition stuff. That's not fun, right? So if you could just
I did backpacking. I did backpacking for a while, and that's what kind of drove this idea of like, you're constantly just like everything you own is on your back, but it's like, if I could facilitate something that is not like that but has that similar style, like that's what I want to do.
Cool. Very cool. That's a very cool goal. And then from a sport perspective or a personal perspective on that front, what are your goals? What are you working on? I think more so around your training. What are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, right now, some of my PRs, I PR'd at the gym this morning, Chad. I got
well done, high fives.
20-pound PR on my push press. So I was pretty excited about that. But yeah, I think some of the weightlifting stuff is something I really want to focus on. Like I used to hate the snatch. I think the first time I did a snatch at Synergy, I cried to Justin. I told him to F off. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I cried and just told him to fuck off. Anyways, so that was fun. But now it's like one of my favorite lifting movements. But I just want to like learn that technique a little bit more. I think my PR is 85 or 90 on the snatch. So I'd like to hit the 100 club, something over 100. Same with
You have
back
this
squats.
class every day at the end of the day that you can come attend, or Wednesday mornings, this weightlifting class that focuses on technique and positions.
I know. I haven't
Well,
been
enough
able
earlier, so
to,
you
but,
gotta come join
you know,
us.
yeah, I will definitely. I haven't been to one of those weightlifting classes in a long time. But I had my shoulder injury, Chad. So, I've just been.
We can work around anything. You said earlier as well. Everything is synergy scalable.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. So that would be something, I think, like 100-pound snatch club, 200-pound back squat. I want to be able to do Murph. I know Murph is coming up pretty soon in May here. So never done that before. We'll attempt it. It won't be the weighted vest, but it'll be some version of Murph. So
yeah, good.
Yeah, some of those hero workouts. I haven't really gone through a lot of those hero workouts, but chipping away at some of those. And then I guess I want to compete in the Open next year. I didn't do it this year, but next year I will sign up and I will compete.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that was one of my other things I want to talk to you about. Because I remember in the prep course, I don't know what day it was, but one of the prep course, probably day one, we were asking like how you got here, all this stuff. You made a comment, and I cannot remember what the actual comment was, but it was something about doing the Open. You wanted to do the CrossFit Games. Yeah, something like that, right? Yeah. So you better do the Open, right?
I know. Yeah, I took it out. I was going to do the Open this year, but there's 3 weeks of the Open workouts, and 2 of those weeks I couldn't do just because of traveling to Fernie. But next year I will plan around not doing anything to do the Open.
Good. Excellent. Cool. Good. All right. And then I had a couple other questions in here that I had kind of left out. What do you think your biggest mental strength is towards your goal setting, all that kind of stuff? What's the one thing that you bring to the table that is your greatest attribute? That's a tough one.
It is tough. I think consistency and just mental perseverance. Like I said, that was the biggest struggle coming back to the gym, or just back to fitness, is just keep pushing through that. You're not where you're at, but you can be. You just have to keep going. So yeah, mental fitness is probably a big attribute of mine. Something I'm pretty proud of.
Well, from the outside looking in, I would say the tools, and it's a part of perseverance, right? But you have a lot of the tools, right? Like even as we were chatting, it's like you talked about, well, here's how I did this. You already had it laid out, right? Like that's got to be from my perspective, coaching this way would be your tools and your skill sets that you already have that you bring to the table on understanding the mind game of the gym, right? Which is honestly the big component of all of it. It's not a physical thing. It's a mind thing, right?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the only thing I want to be more consistent in is clean eating, but 13 pies gets you. You gotta get the pizza sometimes.
I didn't like it. I was there once. I didn't like it, so it was easy.
Yeah.
But it's just all about making a decision. You make a decision to change, then you're now motivated. You got to create a desire around that goal, right? That. So now you kind of already answered, but what's the one thing that you wish, if I could just, I'm the genie out of the bottle and I say, here, you got your one wish. What would be the one thing you'd love to change that would maybe help you on the path?
I mean, this doesn't necessarily directly go to the gym, but I think, I wish I could speed read. So I did a recent test saying how fast I could read and what is my retention rate of what I read. My retention rate is up there, but my speed is nowhere comparable to someone like, Bill Gates or something like that. But your ability to absorb information at such a rapid rate would allow you to read so much more. So I would love to read more about nutrition, right? Or about body mechanics or anything like that. But I'm hindered by my medium ability to read. I'm not slow, but I'm definitely, mid-range above, a little slightly above mid-range, but I'm nowhere near the expert. So if I could wave a magic wand, it'd be I'm reading at 600, 700 words.
Interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting one, because I was reading something actually the other day that most people, like 95% of the population, still read at a grade 7 level, because after grade 7, if you really think about it, most of us don't actually practice a skill set of reading. And even then, but and past that, this is actually one of my biggest downfalls. I got books all around me right here that I've been reading, and I'm such a slow reader, but I read with a highlighter because my retention is so poor. If I do because I've done some speed reading courses, and if I try and go through it, I don't retain anything. So I have to read very slowly, and I go through all my stuff. I got a book here, it's all highlighted, and it's slowly do it. But it's the only way to do it is just, and think of it as studying the book and walking through it, right? And choose your books very wisely. I think sometimes in the past, I used to always get caught up in I just want to read all these books, so if you come to my office or my, my living room, it's like hundreds and hundreds of books there. But if you ask me what was in it, I probably couldn't even give you a review of them. Right now, my focus is just like study this book, move through it, progress that way. But yeah, that would be an amazing skill. Cause I always read, Bill Gates. I think he reads like a book or 2 books a week or something like that. I don't know if that's true or not, but
oh, it's true. And so does like someone like Warren Buffett, right? Like I honestly, I think it comes down to people's ability to read directly is correlated to their wealth. Or like how much they read, right? Like you never really find a lot of people that are like, yeah, I read a crap ton, but like I'm the poorest person ever. Like no one, that is not a thing. Like, and you go through all these people that are like Richard Branson, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, all of them just
one thing in common, man. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it comes down to reading. And so, everyone's human and, everyone comes from different walks of life, but there's a library in every single city. Like there's not really an excuse to not want to read.
It still changes the word from reading to studying, right? It's like, it doesn't really matter because there's different formats in today's world of how you can do that, but study, you got to constantly be studying. And now, but the other thing too, is that most of us don't prioritize it to the point of like, have you set aside time to do so, right? We should probably set aside at least an hour a day for study. Now, I'm kind of in a personally different boat right now because I'm actually physically doing a course right now that I have to study. It's taking me 2 to 3 hours a day on average to do. It's a little bit overwhelming, but it's great.
Well, that's just health, right? Like that's just holistic health. So there's physical health, there's mental health, there's emotional health, there is, spiritual health and, just relationship health too. So, you might be focused on one area, but if you're not kind of feeding all the different buckets, like you're kind of, you're not bringing yourself up as a whole, and then you'll get that inequity. And yeah. But I would say, synergy does fill a lot of those buckets, right? Like some people's spiritualness is going to the gym. They find God in their squat.
Well, and like spirituality has nothing to do with religion or God. It doesn't necessarily have to, right? It's just it's a different. I look at it as like, it's what I study, but it's like levels of vibration that you're on, right? That's part of spirit, right? And it kind of goes in through you, right? So
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, absolutely. So final thing then, this is more of a shameless self-promotion, shameless on my end, but plug. But why would someone join Synergy, and what's been like your biggest takeaway, or if you had to give a I don't know, 30-second spiel?
Yeah. Well, I've probably referred more people to you in the past year than a lot of people. I think
I've gotten the top of the list. Yeah, if I'm being honest, you might be the top of the list. Yeah.
I think I've gotten like nine people to join the gym since I started in the last like 10 months. Yeah. And what I tell them every single time is like, this is not your typical gym. This is not just you show up and you are like, I'm just going to go work legs. Like it's leg day. It's back day or whatever it is. And that's fine. That works for some people, but for me, that didn't. And like for someone that comes from a background of gymnastics, but not weightlifting, I had to relearn like the programming, and I didn't want to have to do that myself. Like that was one of the most intimidating things about going to a different gym, was going there and not knowing what to do. So, Synergy is great. You go there, it's already programmed for you. You just show up and you just do the workout that Justin tells you. Justin's there to kick your butt when you need to be, kind of kicked, or also cheer you on when you need that support. So the coaching is great. The community is great. Plus also you guys are a one-stop shop. I don't know. I'm going to you guys for chiro, physio, massage. I massaged with Cassandra this week. I went to Alex last week. I went to Miranda the week before. So, there's,
that's good.
Yeah. And like, everyone's just a team there. So, it's more than just a gym. It's community, it's support, it's a good lifestyle change. And that's why I think everyone should go, is that it's just different. But yeah, they have to experience it to know.
You're kick-ass.
And then you're hooked.
Yeah. Great answer, man. Appreciate it. That was awesome. Good. We are going to leave it there because, well, we've been going for a while, so I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, Jordana, for everything. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks, Chad.